What's up, everyone? How's everybody doing? This is Fear the Dark Wolf, and we're gonna do some more talking about new heroes. So let's get into it. So, I mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. One of the things I don't like is when they put in a new character that you can attain, they don't add them to the gallery. So if you're not paying attention, they're not in here. There's no way for you to look at them without going into the event, clicking on it, and clicking on the particular hero. So I would like that to be changed. It'd be cool if they would just put them in the gallery knowing that they're coming so that people can take a look at them without having to search. But that being said, we're going to talk about Kria. Now, Kria, she has the third highest cost of all mages that are legendary. It's only one more than most. Most sit about 20, 19. Zealous is at 25, Ajax is at 26, so Kria is at 21. She has a decent casting area, and her ability, it just doesn't seem good. And we'll go into that a little bit and try to just explain my thoughts on why I don't think it's going to be good. Again, I don't have her. I don't have access to the forerunner. So I just have to go based off of what I'm reading. Now, let's just look at her max attack, right? Her max attack is the highest out of all legendary mages. All of them. 5,248. It's even higher than the new Lord. Right? He sits at 4,530. Now, if you want to look at someone like Vierna, her max is 4,341. Now, what makes Vierna really good is her execution, right? So once you get level 3, if the enemy's HP is lower than 35%, she basically deletes them, right? That's what makes her so good. Then everybody knows Comet's good. Lasir is decent. I like him. He has the anti-heal mechanic, right? And then he has his ominous sandstorm, which it feels like he deletes people. They seem like they just disappear, right? So he's pretty good. I don't really have a whole lot personally of legendary mages. Like Nocturne, he's pretty good. I enjoy him. He has a pretty good range too. But even his max is 4,636, so it's well lower than hers. But it's when you get into how her stuff works that I think it gets really convoluted and muddy, and it just doesn't seem like it doesn't seem good. So if we go off of her main attack, it's 70% AoE damage up to 3 enemies in her range. That only can scale to 90%. Right, so if we just look at any other mage, like any other legendary mage, we'll just look at Lizotte. He deals 100% damage up to 5 enemies, and it scales to 120%. That alone sounds better. He's hitting 5 enemies up to 120% damage. She hits 3, max of 90% damage. That alone just doesn't sound good. Then there's a lot of conditions. These two, the two new heroes, these two new legendaries have a lot of conditions, and I don't know how I feel about the tons of conditions, right? But for example, hers is confusing, so I'll try to break it down as best I can. So every 3 enemies she kills within a 10-second span. Right, so she has to kill 3 enemies. It has to be within 10 seconds of happening. Her attack, she will summon 1 storm crow. Okay. Storm crows are they kind of make me think of like how on Vienna she has the bones that follow you. What are they called? Skeleton? No, that's a skeleton shield. Soul erosion extraction. Soul extraction. So the things swirl around them and they absorb, right? That's another thing that she has that's really good because it spreads, right? So her storm crow, she'll summon 1 after she kills 3 enemies, right? So she has to kill 3 enemies to get 1 storm crow, and it has to be within 10-second time span. The storm crow will then attack the target 1 time for every 4 seconds, right? So that means there needs to be 4 enemies, 3 of them need to die, and then the storm crow will attack the 4th one, right? Whatever's left. Each strike deals 70% AoE damage to nearby enemies. So if you killed 3 and it's attacking 1, unless there's like a massive wave, there's not going to be nearby enemies usually. And you can only have 5 storm crows at a time. So that means you need to kill 15 enemies within a 10-second period to have 5 storm crows. That's like a lot. That's a lot of condition. And then each storm crow only stays up for 15 seconds. So that means it's only gonna attack 3 times, right? Because if it attacks once every 4 seconds to get to 15 seconds, it's only gonna do it 3 times. Now her passive is the Killer Crows. So after she does her ultimate, right, which will hit 3 enemies, dealing 100% AoE damage up to 3 times up to 10 enemies. Sorry, I misspoke. It'll do it 3 times up to 10 enemies at 100% AoE. That scales to 130. That just doesn't sound like a lot, right? So maybe if she's like eliminating crowds, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's gonna do that. This doesn't seem like it's high enough damage. But let's look at what Lizotte's ult does, just to get some perspective here. So Lysir's ultimate, 600% AoE damage to enemies in range. 600% to her 100%. Like, come on. That just doesn't sound good at all. That doesn't sound good. Anyways, after she does that, when it ends, it has a every Stormcrow that exists, right? So after she does her ult, the Stormcrows that exist, right, will get a 20% attack increase. Hopefully everything's dead, right? You don't want, like, why would you want her to do her ultimate, things not die, and then have these Stormcrows slow them down, right? It doesn't sound good. And it scales to 30% attack increase. And then the Feast for Crows is when the Storm Crows disappear. So when they finally are done being on the field, her damage increases by 3% for 9 seconds. So let's say you're lucky enough to get 5 Storm Crows, and then they all go away. That gives her 15% increased damage for 9 seconds. Because it's going to stack 5 times, right? Now the damage increase can only go to 5%. Right? So it's a max of 25% damage after the Stormcrows disappear if you have 5 on the field. And the duration goes from 9 seconds to 15 seconds. Okay. I don't read anything here that makes me go, wow, this is going to be a great hero. I can't wait to get them. And even her awakening, it reduces the attack interval of Stormcrow by 1 second for her A1. So her Stormcrows will attack 4 times instead of 3. But, okay, cool. It doesn't sound huge to me. Her A3, that sounds okay. You know, it inflicts vulnerability for everyone that's hit by the Necrostorm. And then her A5 is when the Necrostorm ends, there's a 50% chance to summon another Stormcrow. I don't know if this means you can have 6, or if this is just however many there are, it'll add another one until the max of 5. I'm not sure. But it just doesn't sound appealing to me. And maybe if you don't have anybody else, like if you have no other good mages, then maybe that's what, you know, because like I said, I don't have a ton of legendary mages, but there are some pretty good epics, you know. So I'm not quite sure where this, like, where Kria is gonna sit. I think that she's gonna be lackluster for a legendary. I mean, she has the highest attack, but her power sounds underwhelming. You know, it's a continuous damage, but it's not enough damage. So I don't know. That's my thoughts on her based off of what I can read. Again, I don't have access to the forerunner, so I can't actually test them. I can just go off of what I'm reading. But again, her story seems pretty cool. So, you know, take some time to read the story. Maybe you'll enjoy the lore. I think she looks cool. Aesthetically, she looks freaking awesome. Which is a shame that her skill sounds so not good to me. I think her design is very, very awesome. And it kind of saddens me that her power sounds very weak. But we're going to leave it at that. You know, I hope everyone's having a good day. And remember to take care of each other. And I'll see you in the next one.